Very warm welcome to everyone. Thank you so much for joining us once again. Apologies for the slight delay, but this promises to be a very fruitful and interactive session today. My name is Devina, and we're here, of course, to talk about reimagining the customer experience in a highly connected world. That's exactly why we are all here, to discuss our various experiences and what we can share from across industries. And over the last 1 month, I've done a few sessions with Tata and most recently with Genesys. And the most remarkable outcome from a lot of these conversations is that the industry experts like yourselves, the leaders, are all sort of saying the same few points when it comes to customer experience and what to expect. But also what's really at the heart of it. So, for example, just factors of empathy, the human touch, which is what we were just discussing, and combining that together with, of course, cutting-edge technology, cloud, AI, ML. How is this impacting the industry as a whole, but how do we also then keep the human factor alive? And that's one of the reasons why we're here today. So without further ado, if I could just invite everyone to introduce themselves a little bit. Let's give just a one line about ourselves, and then we'll kickstart the conversation. Shall we start ladies first? Shweta? Welcome.
It looks like I'll be the first for everything today.
We'll mix it up.
Privileges.
All right. Hi, everyone. I am Shweta. I work with Tata Click. I had customer experience at Tata Click. And yes, my role is very simple. I take care of everything. I take care of strategies and implementation of processes, which makes customer in the center of everything we do in the organization. So I would like to simply put it my role like this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Manoj Gupta, myself.
Hi, Manoj.
Okay, I represent Burger King. As of now, the company name has changed to RBL Group now. So primarily, I am actually focusing operations, IT operations and applications for Burger King India. So I head the India for all IT and everything. And and I used to work for another fashion retail company. So I have around 12 years of experience only in the retail sector. I have some other industry experience like manufacturing and all. Yeah. So, but yes, in the current company, I am primarily focusing on IT, complete IT for Burger King.
Wonderful. Welcome.
Thanks.
Amandeep?
Hey, hi. Hi, Amandeep here. So, I am part of Edelweiss Tokyo Life, managing infrastructure and security for Edelweiss, and 20 plus years of experience, mainly into BFSI sector, banking. You can say banking as a majority one, and now with life insurance space. Yeah.
Wonderful. Welcome.
Thanks. Welcome.
Shubho?
Hi everyone, good evening. Subramaniam Iyer from DBS Bank, Subbu in short. So about 22 odd years of experience in total, 18 years with telecom. On the retail side, on the enterprise side, and since the last about 4 years, diversified industry with BFSI. Absolutely wonderful to be part of this forum, and look forward to contributing and learning from each one of you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Nishant?
Hi, I'm Nishant. I lead the... Thanks.
I think that one is for you.
I lead the global practice for pre-sales and solutions for entire unified communications collaboration portfolio for Tata Com, based out of Mumbai, India. Total around 20 years of experience, out of which 12 years in Tata Group itself. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. Sorry, would you like to introduce
Yeah.
yourself?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Reggie. I'm part of the sales team for Genesys, West region. I'm really happy to connect with everyone here. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. I would like to give a very small introduction to Jay and Raja here. So we're also here because the partnership between Tata and Genesys really offers the entire range, a whole suite of services where the customer journey is thought through, mapped out from A to Z. I'm not the expert on the topic, so I just wanted to give a small introduction and really very warmly welcome Raja and Jay to talk to us a little bit about this. And let us know what's in store, what's in the future for the customer experience.
Okay, yeah. Let me start, obviously. First and foremost, on behalf of Tata Communication, along with Genesys, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of the delegates here.
Maybe I'll not take much time. So 25 years of experience, all in telecom. So 15 years plus in Tata. Um, from the Tata Communications, when we actually looking at the overall the experience or journey so far is about decade and a half back when we started the CX story. We were the only one or the first to give that contact center experience on a cloud. And from then it's been kind of been transforming. In fact, we were kind of a leader of this particular domain for about 7-8 years. Of Frozen's 11 actually cancelled this category because there was no competition for our category of business. And that's when all these businesses actually started, and we've been a global leader with respect to voice and network capabilities, and that's what Tata Com. The other side, if you look at Genesys, right? So Genesys, Gartner Magic Quadrant leader globally, right? Our global leadership in what we serve and what we have got a global partnership from Genesys as a capability. Combined together, we make a great story for India. India, we all know, right? It's a highly regulated or a well-regulated today market. This particular partnership is actually addressing all the aspect of CX story in India, right? And then obviously looking at the multiple industries that we actually looking into the India market, be it any vertical, any business use case, we have a success story in use cases. It's a short period, but we actually made that a trend in India market. What I would like to address today is that looking at Genesys Tata Com partnership, any of your business case or strategies of CX, let us be part of it. We will justify it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. My name is Raja Lakshmipati, based out of Bangalore. It's been 4 years since I joined Genesys, and last month I stepped into my 30th year in the industry. I think don't go with this, it's all colored actually. So, I mean, I used to work for Avaya, then BT and Cisco, so a lot of guys thought I'm following an alphabetical order of ABC and all this stuff. I jumped a few alphabets to join GE Genesys actually. So it's been a wonderful kind of, experience thus far. And one of the things, about Genesys, we are a 30-year-old organization doing nothing but CX, frankly. And when customers come and ask for UC also, then we kind of reluctantly agree to do that. But otherwise, we are a very niche CX player, by the way, right? For the last 30 years, we have done a lot of first in the industry, starting off with what used to be a call center, then became a contact center, then became an omni-channel contact center. Then we moved the entire infra to the cloud. Then we said, okay, thus far it's a technological evolution. Now, if we'll have to survive further or kind of grow further, then we'll have to have an outside-in view. That's when we got into the personalization space in terms of how do we personalize for the customers. And then finally, we got into the experience space, right? Today what we deliver is experience as a service. We don't say CCaaS or whatever it is, right? So that's our mission. So our mission is to just deliver kind of as if they're interacting and as if they're the only customers you have, in spite of the scale, in spite of the fact that millions of calls would be hitting any of these contact centers. So that's our mission, by the way. And we are based out of Daly City, outside of San Francisco. And we evolved, we were part of Alcatel. Then when Alcatel and Lucent merged, it came out. Then Permira took over, and then H&F joined as a VC. Recently, we had funding from the combination of Salesforce, ServiceNow, and Zoom, and so on and so forth. So, wanted to go public, but the situation in the US, right? So maybe, possibly, it might it has to wait for some more time, right? That's what it is. So that's all about me and Genesys. Happy to be here, and thanks for being here. Absolutely, great pleasure hosting you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Raja. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, everyone. So, you've just mentioned experience as a service. And once again, there's a few key buzzwords that have come up in all the conversations we've been having over the last month. And one that really struck out was the fact that we live in an experience economy, after all. Customers are so used to now instant gratification, so used to a complete diverse set of experiences, whether it's face-to-face, whether it's online, completely virtual. So I just wanted to kickstart the conversation with understanding from everyone a little bit about what really does experience economy mean in today's day and age, and what does it mean for everybody here? Once again, perhaps ladies first. Shweta.
Sure.
You said it right.
I think, Devina, it's not a buzzword. Experience economy has been here for a long time, right? I think it is a new generation who has started, spending money on experiences than things. Right? This concept was not there with our parents because they wanted to build a house and they wanted to, save money for rainy days, etc., etc. But the new generation, we started thinking about luxury. We started thinking about going on international holidays. We started thinking about getting an AC in the house and all of that. So this experience economy has been building up since then when the new generation started thinking other than, just building a house for yourself and saving some money. So it's not a buzzword, but now when McKinsey and BSG, they start talking about these words, they become buzzwords though. Going to your question, answering to your question that you were asking, what does it mean for me? I think for us as a CX individuals, professionals, for us, experience economy means all the magical experiences that are happening, and starting from first touch point with the brand to various other touch points. And the magical experience can mean anything. It can be a small moment, right? For example, recently I ordered something from Swiggy, and new restaurant, never ordered earlier from that restaurant. And when they sent the food, they sent and had handwritten note saying that thank you for your first order with us. Hope you like it, and we hope to serve you in future, with a smiley and handwritten. I still have that stuck on my fridge, right? So that was a magical moment for me. Scalable, not scalable, we can debate, but they cared for the first order from a customer, right? So they could do it at their scale properly. If I talk about it from a contact center point of view, magical experience would be for me that I'm on my own. I log in, I go and shop, I buy something, I use it. If I don't want to, I didn't like it, should be able to return. All of this should be very seamless, right? I don't have to talk to 100 people, or contact center. So eliminating the need for customer to contact the brand is a magical experience that brands are aiming for these days. So this experience economy is building, and for me it's like small magical experiences, or you create a magical experience which stands out for your brand.
Yeah.
So that would be my take on that.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. And in your experience in your industry, are there any big pain points that you could highlight as well that maybe are roadblocks to coming in the way of these magical experiences?
Yeah. So there are many, but for e-commerce industry, I think returns has been a pain point. Though a lot of e-commerce companies have been able to make it a very, very seamless experience nowadays. No questions asked, return policy. But there's still some few products like electronic products where you cannot have no question asked return policy, because it involves expertise of a technician fixing certain problems and so on and so forth. But returns has been a pain point. So to say that e-commerce companies are looking to make it more better experience for customers. Because you buy from from e-commerce, there's no touch and feel, right? All brands need to acknowledge that when customer bought it, customer was couldn't touch or feel the product. So when customer is asking for return, you have to make it very easy for customer to return as well, right? And then you have your checks and balances to control fraud and control returns, where just people just use it and return. All of that, you need to have those checks and balances in place. But for genuine customer, make your policies for. So we believe if customer has come to our app, bought something, paid money, customer is a serious person, right? He's in all very genuine customer. So you say 100% of your customers are genuine. They have come on our app, they have bought something, and you make policy for those customers. And then in that journey, you create your checks and balances to be able to catch the fraudsters, because on e-commerce fraud also happens a lot. but you make all your policies only imagining that everyone is genuine who is coming to
Correct.
your app, so that you safeguard their interest and you manage 2-3% who are
Outliers.
Yeah. Yeah.
who are outliers.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Thank you. We're going to circle back to you actually to find out more about this, the fraudsters, as you're saying, and now what are the layers of technology we can put in place to really tackle that. So we'll circle back. But before that, Manoj, if you could share with us a little bit. Oh, I think
Sure.
we have.
Absolutely. So
Yes.
I think what Shweta mentioned, like, because when she touched upon that personalized experience, like, the hand note and all, that's actually a memorable period for her. She actually liked it. It's like this is something new for her.
Yeah.
Because ordering, like so you have a multiple channels. You can go to anywhere. You have, even if you open the Swiggy, you have a lot many stores. Lot many restaurants are selling the same things. So for us, like, you have to understand, like, what are the parameters that you will have to can play around. For customer, like as a me, why do I go back again to your store? You should have something like, unique experience. How do you give them a unique experience? Probably like maybe you have a good quality of products. Probably I can go back to, okay, I like this product, I love to go back to again. Or maybe I love the experience for that matter. Okay, I love the experience because I went there, I enjoyed like eating my food, or like ambience, I loved it. That could be the one of the factor. Or maybe the fast, because in our case, like, it's a fast quick service. That is what we said, like QSR business. So you don't want, like, you order the food and you've been waiting for half an hour. It's not a quick service business. It's like you're dining restaurant. You can go to the restaurant, you order something, you wait for your food to come. But in our case, the SOS is matter.
Yeah.
How do we accelerate your SOS? And then for that matter, like the user friendliness. Like for that app, what you're talking about. Like we also run the business. Like 40% of business running from the delivery channels. So how your app could be user friendly for a user to run it, and not just doing a business, like, not like just selling the product from your app. So like I was just talking to Reggie also, because we do you order the food from our app, okay? How do we ensure like the customer is again coming back to your app? Because for us it's like if you lose one customer, you don't lose only one customer, you're losing the chain of the customer.
Yes, that's right.
Because you have the mouth-to-mouth marketing coming to them. So how do we ensure like you don't lose one customer? So selling the point, one area, coming back to them, ensuring them they got a right support, right experience. Like for us, like we have a certain, we've done some kind of a stopgap. Like, we have done some chatbot and all. We implemented something. I was just talking to him. So we did something, but that is actually not 100%. That's partially you are helping the customer. So for us, it's like, for me, if you ask me, the customer centric is important. A customer, like, to give them a memorable experience, like lovable experience. They should feel like, okay, I come to this restaurant, I love the food, and I love the ambience, I love the people, like the user friendliness. So those are the things is critical, and for that matter, I think that is where the business economics are actually moving, and everybody is moving to not only the customer service, is like accelerate your customer service better than customer experience.
Yes.
It's like personalized experience. You should feel that like a customer is a king. For us, it's like that's what we call Burger King. Like every customer is a king for us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing. Before we move on, Dr. Rajendran, welcome. Thank you for joining us. No problem. We've just started the conversation. Maybe you could give a small introduction just so we can all get to know each other a little bit.
I'm Dr. Rajendran. Currently, I'm with the multi-company exit of India, Chief Digital Officer. Prior to that, I was with the Indian Financial Technology and Allied Services and GIFT. And before that, I was with the NPC as a CTO. So my journey is mostly on the payment systems and ecosystem integration with the ecosystem. So I do connect with a lot of people, and one of my product is the UPA, which I proudly say that I did that product so that it becomes a big game changer in the world. And that's what I just wanted to just give you. You can go on.
Awesome. Anytime we make a UPI payment, we'll remember you.
Yeah, I too remember.
Revolutionized, actually. Good to have you, sir.
Yes, thank you. Very warm welcome. We're just going around the room and talking about experience economy as a small Kickstarter to the conversation. So we're getting a little bit of input from everyone. What does it mean at this point?
The experience, if you see the digital adoption in India started because of an experience. So That's why the products whichever we offer, it have to be customer focused. And first have to be how customer able to use and experience their services. So if you see the payment systems, you go anywhere in the world and you have multiple options to do it. Carry multiple cards, currencies, and many things. But if you see in India, in Mumbai, many people I witnessed just only carrying a mobile. Mobile never forget in home. Always wherever they go, they carry the mobile. So with that mobile itself, definitely you will able to do any transaction. And whatever you need wanted to do it, that is one of the experience where you're getting, I don't need to carry any other payment instrument to make a payment. So you can able to do the shopping or eating or whatever you wanted to do it, you can able to do. It's not only that one, if you see online also, see, just a click, you can able to transfer the money within within some few seconds, you will be able to do it. And the experience, when you say, we focused, I've been in the industry for so many years, so the demand is growing. And nowadays nobody is ready to wait for, even for a few seconds.
Yes.
Just go to an example in ATM. If somebody is standing for more than a minute, and the next guy will knock the door. So because they wanted to do everything fast, the speed, then they wanted to, when you go to the screens also, whether ATM or anywhere, it should be very simple what they wanted to do, it should be on top of the thing so that they could able to do it, the transactions. See, by using the lot of new technology and connected world, now it's everything is connected. When you just go to an ATM, and even if you are before even entering to the ATM or any shop, even just stand in front of any shop or anywhere, you are just trying to look for something. Just click it, it will show immediately you can able to buy this shop or next shop like that. So the data is one of the driving factor to create an experience and the convenient as well as the able to provide a service at a quick and fastest way.
Yes. Absolutely.
So that's what I feel the new age people are coming in. They were also wanted to adopt new technology at the way, the speed also wanted to have it more. And many digital initiatives got successful because of the customer experience. And some of the places where people still face the problems because of the post-service related issues, the grievance related issues. So not only providing a services, when somebody got into any issues, it should be able to address immediately. And even if you give some of the apps or some of the things, they don't even give any contact details. They don't even give. Why do you want to give? You don't need to publish it. You can click, then you should be able to raise a ticket.
Yeah.
Or you could able to call somebody immediately, wanted to report some accident. You should be able to make it a quick, faster services, post services also. So not only during the service, post service related things also. Now it's very important.
Yes, absolutely.
And so that the customer able to adopt or keep with the certain kind of the product.
Yes.
I think with this I just
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes, thank you. That's really interesting. And again, we're going to circle back to everyone, and maybe you can give us a little more insight into what's happening now in this space, whether it's a bug on an app, on a website, the grievances and the issues of the customers. How are we dealing with it, and what can we do to make that process better? I'm sure something we all experience here, but we'll come back to that. Amandeep, could you share maybe even a personal experience or a personal anecdote
I think
when it comes to...
very good examples has been already given by the forum. So I would be specific on certain things, right? What Edelweiss is trying to do and what I experienced during my previous tenure with. So I also got an opportunity to work for Thomas Cook for 2.5 years. So holiday industry works in a totally different manner, right? So some kind of experience which we have sorted for the users is like whenever the customer is calling, most of the customers coming to Thomas Cook is they are already a customers. They have done some kind of deals. In the past they have traveled via Thomas Cook. So we have created a platform where as soon as that customer calls, immediately we'll get a customized offerings from a platform. Okay, what kind of product we can sell to this customer, right? Basis on their previous trend, what kind of food he likes, what kind of things which we have done in previous holidays, which holiday destination he has actually visited, basis which we have created a model, and that model serves eventually to the agent to sell the new product to that particular user, right? So that kind of experience is really awesome for a customer, but I would say, wow, it's kind of a wow factor, right? When you will realize that okay, the things which I already wanted, it's already known to Thomas Cook and they are trying to serve it in a much better manner. Now when I come to this life insurance space, currently, I'm not saying we are very good in experience, but we want to be trying to achieve and that kind of radar where we want to kind of sell insurance to the insurance selling is very difficult proposition, I would say, in India especially, right? So each one of us agrees to that particular point. It's not easy to sell insurance, right? People take lots of time to convince themselves and then eventually take a decision on whether there is really a need to buy insurance or not. Now in this process, there are lots of discussion happens with the agent. Sometime customer calls, especially during investment time, right? JFM is a period where lots of policies people buy in India because of tax savings and other things, right? So normally what happens, people do inquire in June, July, and then they lost in between and they come back. Normally this is a trending which we have seen in the insurance industry. So what is happening is the main touch point what I think the customer want from the insurance space is the same agent is actually serving to that particular user. It is not like they will emphasize again what has happened in the previous conversation, how that agent is actually deal with that particular customer. So the main touch point over here is the same agent is actually communicating with the customer. So that's one, I think, area which is really required in the insurance space, because they said, okay, was all these things I already told to your previous agent. Now you are asking me the basic question again, why your system is not good enough to understand my requirement in detail, and why you are not able to sell what I actually want. So this is a problem which we are facing currently. I think in order to tackle to this problem, currently we have two different contact center solutions. We are planning to have a unified approach moving to cloud. We are not yet on cloud as of now. We are planning to move on cloud, and at the same time we are also building a model where to understand how we can first give a touch point using a robotic process where instead of agent coming into play, there is some robotic process which is built in between, so that arm is really taken care seamlessly, and then once it is actually convinced that this person is actually want to buy a policy, then we have a human intervention coming into play. So that kind of thing we are planning to do, and that's what is going on currently, and that's what we are focusing upon. Yeah.
Fantastic. So we'll come back to you to understand once again what does the future look like for you, and you've already given us some insight into shifting to cloud, and we're going to talk a lot more about that. But before that, Shubho, same question to you about experience economy and what it means, but specifically for DBS being really sort of a leader in the BFSI sector to be digital first in many ways compared to your competitors. So what has worked for you in terms of your customer experience journey? And maybe what are some of the things you might change and improve in the future?
So in our case, irrespective of whether it is a BFSI sector or I'm just cutting across sectors, right? And I'm just talking about the customer. Right, and I'll just go back to what Shweta mentioned with regards to banking, or back then when we look at the previous generation, you would go back and you will plan for going into a bank, right? And with our parents, I'm sure all of us have experienced that.
Yeah.
Right? And typically you would plan, बोले चलो bank जाना है, and that is how it used to be a major chore for you, right? From then to over a period of time with evolution with regards to digitization coming in and so on and so forth, what has typically happened is gone are the days when you sell a product or a service or a feature, right? You sell experience. You sell experience. And what does that mean? Each of the examples that our colleagues, our friends, kind of just now shared is absolutely apt.
Yeah.
And each of the experiences is unique for each and everybody,
Yes.
right? With that, how do you stay relevant? Yes, in our case, obviously, you have this thing being a digital first, bank from that standpoint. You have the luxury of having data.
Yeah.
But how do you make effective use of data
Yes.
is extremely critical,
Yes.
right? You also need to look at, yes, I mean, because of, excess data and all, it shouldn't happen that you end up bombarding customers left, right, and center just because you want to, kind of sell a
Absolutely.
product. So typically, I mean, you're not selling a product. What are you selling? You're selling an emotion. You're selling what are you trying to achieve is there is a customer's requirement, customer's job
Yeah.
to be done. You're addressing that, right? Mortgage, insurance that Amandeep spoke about. It takes time. The lead cycle is long. But what are you selling through an insurance? What are you selling through a mortgage? Customer is kind of buying a house. So there are so many emotions kind of attached to it.
Yes.
Are you understanding that? Or you're just wanting to pump in your product without understanding the end requirement of the customer? That is when the human touch comes in. That is when the empathy factor kicks in. That is when you stay relevant for the customers and their requirements. And once you strike that chord, right, which is so very critical, right? The simple example of what she ordered and that one note, it has left a lasting impression, right?
Yeah.
How did you make that individual feel? That is something that stays with us rather than one incident. And Amandeep also spoke about different channels, right? How do you stay relevant? So you can't forcibly kind of get customers up the curve with regards to a digital revolution.
Absolutely.
You need to provide all of this in a platter, leave the choice with the customer, and from then on, customer is kind of happy to walk into a branch, wants to kind of sit across the counter, sit with the branch manager, have a cup of coffee, and then get the transaction done, right? It is a human to human interaction.
Yes, as we were just discussing.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right? And from that standpoint, or your branch is not going to be 24/7, your relationship manager is not going to be 24/7. Customer is traveling, for example, and has an international flight to catch, and suddenly remembers that, oh, I forgot to kind of activate my debit card to be used
Yeah.
internationally.
Yeah.
That is when
What do you do?
that is when the app kicks in. You just log in, connect, couple of clicks, and you're there.
Absolutely.
Right? So all of these, so it is an entire ecosystem when you put your communications, your technology, your platform, everything together, and effectively when you go back and communicate to the customer, that is when it leads into that experience that you deliver.
May I add this? Amarjit was talking about that. Agent, multiple agents, the customer need to explain same thing. And this is a typical issue in IVR systems.
Yes.
If you go anywhere, then repeat everything. Then customer got lost interest and
Absolutely.
hang up the
Yes.
calls. So since the data is available everywhere, when a customer calling, that time itself you should be able to greet him.
Absolutely.
Because you are able to already identify, greet him, and you need to find out what transaction
next?
he did relevant to that particular contact.
Yes.
So if it is a bank or anywhere else, you should be able to see what he did and what could be a problem. Proactively be able to get informations and available to the agent to give a proper answer, and that will help to create a good experience in the customer
Yes.
end.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And Dr. Rajendran, so on that topic, when it comes to data collection, but not only collection of data, but setting the context, right? Because without that entire process, the data probably renders not useful for anybody, for the end customer and from the company's point of view. So what are some of the major challenges you would say when it comes to data processing and therefore translating the data collected to ultimately impact the end customer in the best possible way?
See, actually there is no bottlenecks. Datas are available in every system. It's a bank. Bank runs across all the channels and have a fraud and risk management system where entire information is comes. If you wanted to really look into the things where he did the last transaction, he will be able to get it from the same system. Okay, available. Only the thing is when you need to integrate with the where is the contact center and the right contacts for what is every agent cannot be shared with all the information. If some agent is meant for an ATM resolution and that agent, if the call is going there, you should be able to look into the things, what was his transaction related to, whether PIN changed or whether PIN not working or delivery happened. So take all the data and able to provide it, okay, this customer did all the transactions, then ready to answer certain kind of thing, then it will be more helpful.
Yes.
And that is the way if you take the any other channels. Suppose we say that a KYC related things. KYC, most of things are fraud sites and so many things are invading, getting into the lot of things. So fear of even customer getting even disclosing the information. When a call contact center reaches some customer is not calling you. You are calling the contact center. You are calling the customer, and you need to identify how to whom you are calling. Then you are asking, you tell your date of birth, you tell your the account number. So how do you know the things the customer, whether the call is genuine
Yes.
and coming from the
Yes.
particular thing? So what no, the caller IDs kind of things no nowadays. This if it is standardized, even SMS also need to be standardized. When you're calling, customers should be able to recognize this call is coming from so and so place. If that is able to see that, they will their trust need to be. Contact centers are now trust based also. You need to create a trust. Then you need to have a data so that you will be able to first identify, then you will be able to create a trust. Nowadays no IVR calls. Many people never engage for IVR calls. All are declining IVR calls and nobody ready to take any marketing calls or anything. Even genuine calls also people not ready to
Yes.
accept it. And customers also reduced to go into IVR system. They are ready to using an app. They are trying to create a tickets or whatever thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Would you, I think that's some really deep insight into what some of the challenges in the banking sector are. Is there anything you'd like to add to that about what the future might hold to tackle some of these issues?
What would typically also happen is, when you're getting more digital, right? I mean, in our case, predominantly about 76% of our all interactions get handled through the bot, right? But are we there? The answer is no. How do you continuously invest, on the bot and make it relevant? If it is a product related kind of an information, the bot is pretty good. When, the answer is digital, either a 0 or a 1, the bot is good, right? In terms of, kind of giving those information. But when it gets into an interactive kind of a, interaction, that is when probably the bot fails. For example, I tried, transferring, money to somebody, it didn't go through, or it got debited, but the opposite person hasn't received, immediately panic kicks in, right? I mean, it is money, customer is, with regards to security of the money and so on and so forth. And when you try using a bot, that is when it fails. Reason is it is not able to understand the interaction.
Yes.
And at that point in time, if you're ready to, one is continuously learn and get your bot up to the standard. At the same point in time, if you're there to provide assurance to the customer, right? Let us understand that the customer has gone through some bad experience, and if you're there as a support, customer will want to kind of depend upon you, invest upon you, saying, this is one brand or this is one this thing which I want to stay invested with. If at all I face a problem, let me face a problem with them. I know that I'll be taken care of.
Yeah.
That is the kind of assurance that all of us require, right? Once you bring that to the table, I think you're one, and with increasing, each and every interaction, each and every point of contact is a source of truth, right? And if you fail somewhere, then suddenly, it will take time for you to build that trust and, bring the customer back.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And Shweta, I'd like to bring you in on this. Precisely this factor of using all kinds of technology solutions, bots, now even on WhatsApp message. In your line of business as being a leading fashion retail online provider, surely the customer relies a lot on these tools, and in fact it's a must, it's a need for platforms such as yours to have them in place. So what has your experience been in investing in your customer service contact centers and all the aids that go with it? And what do you think can be done better moving forward?
Yeah, it's a great question. Thanks for asking. I think there is no straightforward answer to this, right? It depends on the industry, and within the industry there are multiple dimensions to it, I would say. For example, we have 3 line of businesses. So one is our mall business, where regular brands are there, you come and buy. Then there are luxury line of business, where we sell all premium luxury and luxury brands. And then the very new one is the palette app, where we are selling beauty products, right? For all 3 line of businesses, there is a very, very different approach in terms of how much do we need to invest and where. Whether it is technology, people, or anything else. So taking an example from mall business first, there are approaches. So there are 3 E's, right? So in mall business, we focus on efficiency. On luxury, it is experience. And on palette or beauty, it is expertise. So again, the philosophy is tied to the philosophy of the business, right? So the mall business, it's a volume business. Hence, efficiency is very important. Like Dr. Arinder were also saying, you need fast response, you need fast resolution, and the customer needs that, right? So matching your philosophy to what customer wants. And these are very, very, very internet savvy customers who come to us, right? So we don't have to worry about digital adoption there. So that's already being done because they are e-commerce customers. Like Dr. Arinder was saying, that IVR nobody wants to. Right now, people are okay raising a ticket on the app and then waiting for resolution, or they are okay for chat. We have also implemented bot, right? And it was a considerably long journey for us, because we were very, very clear in our head that we will not let customer stuck in the bot experience. We were very clear. So we were measuring something like bot CSAT also. So after every bot interaction, are you satisfied? Yes, no. And we increased use cases wherever the CSAT was higher, right? And it was a long journey for us, 6-7 months it took, and we have also reached 70% resolution by bot itself, and rest goes to the agent, and we are okay with that. So that investment we have done in bot, chatbot and IVR, but very clear it has to be customer-centric digital transformation rather than, making so be where customers are is something that we followed. And another example in this is, I said earlier also, eliminating the need for customers to contact, right? So for example, in e-commerce, we use this metric a lot, order to contact ratio. Which means, so our order to contact ratio used to be, when we started, 75%. That means if you get 100 orders, 75 customers will call you for something. They have a problem, they have a query. But it was a journey for us. In 7 years now, we are at 8 to 9%, right? So this has happened primarily because of technology, processes, policy changes, and so on and so forth. So, and 8 to 9% still we are not satisfied. And this is a huge investment in via technology, via people, but it is adding to, lesser agents, more automation, bot handling more queries. So it is adding to, invest ROI, we are getting ROI from the investments. In luxury, it is very different. It is experience led. So we don't have IVR. You call and the ring will, and the agent will pick up. And we have deliberately heavily invested in people, because there for us investment in people is ROI, there is repeat purchase. So if you have a bad experience, which means you have to call contact center and you are in touch with the agent solved your problem, agent focuses on service recovery. And if the service recovery happens, we believe that customer will come back to us. Because to your point, right, assurance. Correct. Agent was there, handled it, solved it, and customer feels like, okay, this is a company where everyone screws up, right? But this is a company where I'll be taken care of. So we focus on repeat purchase through those interactions and connections. So this is how so like I said in the beginning, there's no straightforward answer to it, but you have to align your CX strategies to business philosophy and serve it that way to each cohort of customer. Another example, I'll just quickly take 1 minute to in luxury we realized that there are customers who buy premium luxury. They don't mind buying a watch worth 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs, Rado. They're online customer and they buy, right? So they keep coming to our app. So we created this loyalty program for them, which is called Luxury Select program. And as part of this Luxury Select program, they get many benefits. One of the very good benefit that they get is assigning a relationship manager, right? But relationship manager necessarily doesn't need to be a human always. So we've created virtual relationship management, right? A lot of things VRM is handling, and then there are RMs also tagged to that customer. Now for this set of cohort, our repeat purchase is really high. This is a very loyal set of customers who are like fan of Tata Click luxury, and they will be with us, for a long time. So these are some of the things that you can do to, which improves experience also. But yes, it's also adds to the profitability or to the bottom line, because you're getting more customers, you're getting more orders from the same customers. So
Thank you. Thank you for that in-depth understanding of how it really changes across your verticals, whether it's an in-person experience or your luxury experience is completely different from your maybe mass product. So thanks for helping us understand that in detail. We'll come back to you, but just wanted to welcome Mayuresh. Thank you for joining us. Maybe we can quickly introduce yourself. We're a little bit into the panel at this point, but a quick introduction.
Sure. So first of all, sorry for being late. Got stuck on something. My name is Mayuresh. I head IT infrastructure, cybersecurity, and part of digital transformation and IT transformation for Marico Limited. So yeah.
Welcome. It's lovely to have you here.
No, I just said hi to
So we'll come right to you with a few questions. We'll continue the flow. We've just heard from Shweta about Tata Click and what's really working there, and some of the future plans. Amandeep, let's move to you a little bit. So now I'm really curious, with Edelweiss being one of the largest financial conglomerates in India, just sort of really umbrella topic here about some of the latest technology trends that you've embraced. What's working for you, and what is your perspective and your approach to emergent tech like AI, cloud, and so on?
Okay, so just wanted to comment on what Shweta was mentioning. You don't want the customer to call the contact center. That's why license cost is going down. They will not be able to make business.
No, eliminating the need.
No, I was wondering where would we go then?
We do have.
Okay, so coming back to the point, I think, so what we are doing, I think we are moving on to cloud. So we already on cloud, I would say. We have a decent amount of infrastructure hosted on cloud. But I think what we are doing new on cloud is mainly on a SaaS-based platform. We are working on a SaaS-based platform, especially we have a big tab with Microsoft on D365 solution, wherein we are moving our entire CRM and pre-issuance and post-issuance journey on CRM. So on D365. So I think we are the first insurance company to do so in India, and we are building entire pre-issuance and post-issuance. Earlier it was on IBM Transcend, and which is on premise, and then now we are moving on to D365. So that's mainly on a strategic part where we want to move on cloud. That's point number one, and also on a SaaS-based platform rather than going with specific infrastructure-related services or application-related service. I would say it's kind of a end-to-end SaaS-driven model. Also, what we are doing is on a data side, specifically because I think data is playing very important role. Data consolidation we are working upon. There are lots of actually over the period of time we have created lots of data lakes, and now we realize that we are into a stage where lots of data is actually required and is actually given from different data lakes. So we are now moving on to a stage where we are building a consolidated data lake platform on cloud. We have already kickstarted this journey. I think the plan is to, like Subbu mentioned, it's single source of truth is very important, right? If you don't have that, we are now struggling on that particular aspect where we don't realize which data is actually correct data, right? So on that front, we are working very closely with big partners on that front, and we are trying to consolidate all the data where eventually all my data related requirements, MIS related requirements will be served from that particular platform. And also on a reporting aspect, we are heavily now relying on Power BI as a platform where, so as I mentioned, Microsoft tie-up is a huge tie-up which we have done from Edelweiss per se, and we are building upon that particular engagement to get further improvement in a life insurance space. Yeah.
And can you also maybe share with us some of the major roadblocks that you faced in your journey so far?
Roadblocks, as I mentioned, is the one important thing is because as you transition to a platform is like there are upstreams and downstream applications, right? Now on a downstream side, if I say as a platform, there are only few applications which are available in a life insurance space, like Ingenium is one of them and Life Asia is another one. Now on that front, you don't have a cloud offering available, right? So on that part, you can't scale up. You have to be relying on the on-premise infrastructure. That's a major challenge I would see in that particular space. Second important thing is, since there are lots of players in the market today who are providing the niche offering, like some products are very good in lead management platforms, some are good in a contact center solution, I would say. So I think over the period of time, we have multiple contact center solutions as of now. So, and also the lead management is given by a third party. So consolidation of this particular aspect is again a bigger challenge, because each business is having their specific requirements. They said this solution is the best solution, this is serving my purpose, my business is getting achieved. Now moving on to a new platform and selling this platform to them is again a bigger challenge, and then eventually both the solution which I am talking about is on-premise solution. That's a bigger challenge again. Now moving on to a cloud, and the cloud platform also at the same time should serve both the business requirements. So, and then integration aspect is again going to be playing a very important role, because as you are moving on to a cloud, and if you are sunsetting your on-premise related application, you are integrating with these platforms again, and then while moving these platform again to a cloud, and you have to integrate back to that kind of triangle approach which you need to be creating that. So I think business, we have to also see what kind of business compromises or disruptions which may happen during this journey. But I think from our side, we are very clear on moving on to a cloud, and that's what is we are focusing upon.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. That's really very helpful insight there. Manoj, let's bring you in on this. So Burger King is, of course, a household name now in India, globally, of course, and in India more and more. To start with, could you tell us a little bit about some of the metrics that you use to really gauge the customer experience and where you're at on that journey?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, like, you have to understand this business format altogether, like the entire ecosystem, how the ecosystem works. In our case, like you have, like you go to the burger. It's not only the burger, because you don't have, you're not only selling the burger, you're also selling the experience. Okay, and like everything is like connected to the quick service. That is what it's called. Like we call like from farm to fork.
Yeah.
Like how do you get this material? Like how do you get this burger on your store? So everything is connected to the timelines, because all that's perishable item. You can't just keep it. You can't store it forever. So there is a timeline for everything. So, so in coming from the farm to the store, so how do we ensure like the timelines to be met? And then also, if you see the customer, they need a fresh food. Okay, currently the challenges that we have, only the delivery part of it. Largely is the delivery part of it.
Okay.
If you say dining, it's fine because we still can turn around something, we can add more resources, we can do something there, but that is still within our hand. But if you go to the delivery part, that is the challenging for us. Because as of now, like when you order from the app, when you order from our BK app specifically, so we have our own fleet management. So those fleet actually, then you'll have some visibility. But again, the thread zone, like how do we ensure like you have a limited thread zone area? How do we ensure like because currently you are completely based on your Google API. Whatever the Google information is coming, you are completely based on the Google API. But that is coming from the car point of view. Like as a car, you actually from one point to other point, if you're driving, if you see the the journey, the car journey and the bike journey is totally different. So those information is not coming to us as of now. Okay, and so how do we ensure like how do we gauge those information? And rather than giving them a ETA basis on the travel time, how do we give them a ETA basis on your current day part? Like say for example, morning time you are expecting too much of traffic. Okay, so that ETA is something different for me. I cannot create a boundary or I cannot create a probably like catchment area in my app so that I can say that okay now I can sell the same burger within that vicinity in 1 hour or probably 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I cannot do that because that information is not coming to me. So there is the problem. And so what are we doing? It like we are trying to we're trying to reduce our catchment area so that at least we can serve the fastest because that is everybody wants to eat hot burger. Nobody wants to eat lousy burger. So that is the important for us. Okay. So as of now, we have implemented some part of it. Chatbot, we have just implemented in our app. And as I said, like everything is connected to the customer. So CRM is also important. Okay, so you should know okay the customer where is the dropout in the customer from add to cart to checkout. Okay, so even like what Dr. Rajendra was talking about the payment options, how seamless your payment experience should be. That is also matter to us. Because for a customer, if you're ordering it and if you're taking time to just to select the product and get to the checkout and do the payment, by the time your interest is gone.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't want to do it again. I said like, forget about it, I have a Swiggy option, I have better options available in the market. So, chatbot again, like, so one is like, how do we ensure like the customer is engaged constantly with us? How do we give them all that information? We should have it because all that journey I should be able to track it by the customer. So those information we are gathering it by like using this CRM tool by some part. Other than that, like the post delivery, I was talking about like again I was mentioning the post delivery is something which is very critical because when you deliver the food and say for example you order the food from our app and you receive the wrong food and you are already frustrated because you've been waiting for 40 minutes to get the order and you receive the wrong order. Now you don't want to again call and do the IVR call, okay, dial 1, got to talk to this, or you don't want to do all those things. And of course, and we are into like, we are not a luxury brand, it's like a quick service, a restaurant point of view. You are already hungry. You want to finish your food immediately. So of course, some part of the customer, they will go back to you, they will write to you, they will talk to you. So chatbot is helping us. I think my mic is off. Anyway, chatbot is helping us, okay, but some part of it, not 100%. But again, if I have to engage or if I have to add the agents, like that is company will not be able to agree because that's again additional costs. Yeah. As I said, like we have ADT, like you have 100 ADT per day or more than 100 200 ADT, like average daily tickets. So when we sell the burger, like how much it costs? 200 rupees, 250 rupees. For me to adding any product or to adding one resources, it's challenging because then the store they have to sell 5 more burger. To get the P&L recover, like ROI point of view. So it's for us it's like very important. We can't just have a live agent sitting there to helping you, but contrary, how do we ensure like you train the bot to give the maximum service to it? So some part of it we have done is like so for example you order from one locations, so we have routed internally. We did some stopgap kind of a solutions. Like you can reach out to us through chatbot. We will able to listen you. We will heard you, and then we'll give you ticket number the traditional way, and then that ticket will route it to your specific or relevant store, and then store manager will have all the information in his portal, and then he will immediately call to you, and then they'll try to make out with some instant gratification or something they can do it. But that's it's like traditional way that we are trying to do it. We have not reached to that level. Okay, this is the delivery journey. Coming back to the offline business. Okay, largely if you see the offline business, if you go to the store, you like to see the place where you like to clean and sparkling clean restaurant. You don't want to go to where like somebody's already eaten, they throw some wrapper there and then you have to clean. That is something you cannot do it. But how do we ensure like you ensure like your sparkling clean restaurant should have it? Your order should be on time. Okay, you order something and nobody wants to listen. Okay, what is my order number? Nobody. I don't want like somebody should call my name. Where is Manoj? Your order is ready. I don't want to do that. Like, I should be digitalized. I should get this information right on my phone, sitting on my table. Okay, probably you can do a table ordering service. That's something that is the innovation that we are doing it. That's the king journey that we are anyway planning to work on it. But the current challenge these are the challenges, and these are the metrics that we are trying to engage and we are trying to ensure like at least customer when is ordering from us or from whether it is online or offline, we give them better service. And we can engage like, okay, how much time it is taking for customer to deliver the food, whether it is offline, like SOS we count, like for us is like, when you order burger from us, within 2 minutes 45 seconds, you should get the order from us. So that is the SOS that we are working internally. Okay. And then also the food quality, the wrapper, the products and everything, that is all. Of course, we have the traditional way NPS that we are also using NPS for our Net Promoter Score, where you, as a customer, you can rate us, you can like, and but what happened like, when only you will rate it when you have a bad experience. So that is largely what happened, like we are only getting the bad experience or bad rating to us. So what are we doing? We are changing the experience, we are changing the flow also. Some part of it we did it like, as soon as you receive the order, we are sending some SMS, that is the old way. But again, what we are also doing it when you open the app again, you will also get some pop-up message like, hope you like our experience. Would you like to rate us on this one, your last order? Then at least customer will not forget, okay, I have probably whether it is a bad experience or good experience. That journey you have created. But those information we are getting it, but how do we emphasize, how do we improvise those areas? Yes. Long way to go.
No, thanks for sharing. And I'm just curious. So, of course, Burger King is again household name and one of the largest fast food chains globally. So, how many of these challenges that we're discussing today are sort of global, or are these really maybe Indian market centric issues?
So, this challenge is globally. I was talking about the king journey. Let me talk about the king journey. Exactly what exactly the king journey for us. So, the traditional way of doing business, you go to the store, you go to the restaurant, you order the food, do the billing, offline billing, and then you just wait for order. But this is the challenging for everyone, and also for crew members. So, for example, you are in the dining store. Okay, you have 40 odd tables, 40, 50 tables somewhere. For a crew member to find the table, to identify the customer is a challenge. So, we are actually moving from self-service to the table service business. So, how this table service going to help us the customer? Like sitting on the table, you can order from the app. That is the one way, like scanning the QR code, that's a journey. And then you can get a table number and everything printed to your receipt. Similarly, you have a kiosk. Kiosk is the one that we've been using for almost 15-20 years, but now we are emphasizing and we are pushing more on that one. So that customer should feel comfortable by ordering it. They should like, because what happens like when you go to the counter, like they do keep doing a suggestive selling. Do you want extra cheese? Do you want this? And customer is like end up paying extra. He decided to pay 100 rupees, then he coming out and said like, oh shit, I have been cheated. I paid 250 rupees. So that is what happening. So we don't want to do that. Like that is where customer, some people, and I'm not talking about the set of customer, you have a multi-layer of the customer. Some people want to spend, it's fine. It's also easy for them to 250. It is easy to them to spend 250. But for a college guys, students, they have a limited pocket money. They don't want to spend 250, 350, 500 rupees. Sure. So how do we ensure like they should also feel comfortable ordering from us? Okay. So that is where the journey that started. That is where we said like let's do a king journey kind of a solution where you have a table order, you have a kiosk order, okay, and then you will, how do we identify the customer? Like using some kind of a bot, probably not the bot, like Bluetooth and like you have RFID solutions, and then you have a screen in sitting in your back office, like as a crew member, I've ordered from my app, I've got the table number on the screen. So as a crew, I don't have to go and shout for a customer. I can simply say, okay, this customer is which zone is sitting, what is his table number. So that is the journey, and that is where everyone is moving. So globally, this is coming from us. Okay, this is globally is like pushing to us. Like now, let's focus on those areas rather than like doing a self-service. So customer experience is the primary focus for our company.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Mayuresh, once again, welcome. So we did a small round before you arrived, just talking about experience economy, what this means for everyone. So maybe we'll get a little bit input from you about that. But also just sort of a wider question. Now, being one of the largest consumer product companies in India, and I read somewhere that Marico touches 1 out of 3 lives of every Indian, which is a vast amount of the population, needless to say. So I'd like to get your input on an organization like yours that, of course, has a vast number of factories, so much operational output that comes from your end. What are some of the operational strategies that you've put into place, and how does this impact the end customer?
Sure. So for Marico, when we talk about customers, we have different type of customers. So the first customer is my distributor, right? Because there's a traditional sale. So in the traditional sale, my distributor becomes my first customer. So we have close to around 950 distributors pan India. So that is one set of customers. Second is the new set of customers, which is a D2C business, direct to consumer business, where we have various brands which are reaching out directly to the consumers. Like we have Beardo, we have Cocosol, Safola. So all of that, they have their own D2C sites. So I'll first talk about the primary customer, which is my distributor. Distributor, faces different type of challenges, and we are focusing on how do we make the distributor's life better. So that is something we are focusing on. We have created an app called as Saral, where a distributor can check all their order status or their payment status, their check status. They have some bank guarantees, when are they going to get renewed. So all of these things are available to the distributors on the app. Then there are some trade schemes which are there for the distributors. So how well are distributors aware of that? Generally, they sometimes miss some trade schemes. So the app also tells them, okay, these are the trade schemes which are there. So they feel good about it. So that is one of the focus areas of distributors. You talked about the operational excellence, right? How that helps into all of this. The distributor's biggest challenge is not having a stock, because retailer is asking for a stock, but I don't have a stock to sell, right? So that is where we have something called as a supply chain tower, where we have like a air traffic controller, right? We have a tower set up where the people are actually monitoring the stocks at various locations. Because of the GST, the entire distribution models have changed, right? So we have factory, then we have mother warehouse, then we have smaller warehouses for the rural areas, and then we have distributors for the larger areas. So where are all the stocks which are out there? How can we optimize that inventory as per the retailer needs is something we are doing through the supply chain tower. And so doing all of this, we are helping our distributors, and in turn we are helping our retailers to get those stock from the distributors, and obviously in turn the consumer, right? Then the consumer needs to find our product on the shelf. So that is on the distributor side. When it comes to the D2C business is completely different. The distributor model doesn't work there. So to be honest, my biggest distributors for D2C would be Big Baskets, Amazon, right, Flipkart, right? Those are my distributors now for my D2C business. As well as we have our small new companies which have come on, like Amiza, right? So they are the company who actually store a small part of our SKUs into their small warehouse somewhere close to you, right? So that is where when you order Beardo, it will quickly reach out to you, right? Versus Safola, because Safola is probably available in a distributor which is maybe 100 kilometers away from you. Right? So it's a completely different distribution model, and that is where there's a lot of the analytics and how do we reach out to that pin code very quickly comes up. And obviously that comes at a cost, but yeah, that's where the challenge is. So those are the different operational problems we are trying to overcome, and at the same time creating the wow for the my customers.
And could you share some of the steps in innovation? And of course, now we understand better the different strategies you need to have across your different customer, who they are. But any steps in innovation that has really worked at Marico that has changed the end result for the customer?
Sure. So, so during the pandemic, when things were not open, so at that time, one of the biggest challenge which came is my essential commodity, which is like Safola or Parachute for that matter, right? How do we get that? So we actually launched a WhatsApp number where you can actually just send your PIN code and it will quickly tell you which retailer you can quickly go to, which is open during the pandemic, and you can get your Safola from there. Right, so that is one of the small innovation that we did that time. While from there to now, we have launched various digital products. So we have some premiumized products. We have diversified into foods. So those are the innovations which has happened in the business, which is now changing the way in which we are selling. Like for an example, we launched Safola Chawanprash. Right now, Safola Chawanprash, how many people would buy from Amazon? Right, not many. Right, so our focus was the Safola Chawanprash should be available in the GT, which is general trade. But at the same time, we launched Safola mayonnaise or Safola peanut butter. Now the amount of people buying Safola mayonnaise on GT is much lesser than they would buy from Big Basket or Amazon. Right? So then, specific to those SKUs, specific to those product lines, we kind of created our supply chain accordingly. Now the latest, I would not say innovation, but I would say we have to move there as soon as possible, which is the ONDC. Right, so I don't know how many of you are aware of ONDC, which is the so I think the ONDC is basically the government's initiative of creating a platform where you can put your products, and let's say Tata Click has an app or Jio has an app, and they can search those SKUs on our platform and see if they can be serviced directly from us. Like a Paytm can call our APIs and Paytm can sell Safola on their platform. So that is something currently we are working on. So we have already done the POCs and we are already there on Safola is already there on the ONDC now, and we are seeing how rest of the products can be there on the ONDC.
Great, fantastic.
Yeah.
Same question to everyone really. We've covered a lot of points today, but is there any sort of innovations that have happened in your company, in your industry that you could share with us that we can all learn from as we slowly come to a close? Dr. Rajendran, maybe...
I want to touch one point which is talked about the cloud-based services. There are one hesitation from the customers going to cloud. One, how to protect the data.
Yes.
Second, how to maintain the compliance. Okay. So what I was suggesting, maybe people now running lot of virtual environment on-prem. Okay. It is just need to have little transformation to convert it to either private cloud or put it to the public cloud. One of the issues, even for a cloud provider, have to take a lot of risk, or then they don't even, cloud provider don't even give any liability for any data loss or anything. That's less with the customers only. So that way only model works, otherwise it is then they will ending up going to the liabilities. So what one model which I was asking people, but still it is, maybe people are working on, why the data, customer data, can put it into the customer premises and do the transactions, process on the cloud, and then it will already here you can have a virtual environment, so technology you can able to create it. There is no, it's not a big issue, and then customer will get a confident that data is available with them, and also this should also able to make a backup into the another systems, or then they can able to see also.
Yeah.
See, one challenge when they go to cloud or any rented places, coming out and taking a data, it should become big challenge for many enterprises or many even small, big people are able to handle it, but small people have lot of challenges to taking a backup or readable format. So that whenever you create a model where it's a readable format, customer can able to read it without a cloud app or whatever things, and at the same time able to use complete the resources at the cloud, then they will able to easily leverage the cloud and able to use their services, whatever services coming. Then that will help to win-win situation to both customer and the providers. The second thing is the ongoing the ransom attacks.
Yes.
So when you do the things, the data, one of the things encryption. Everybody think encryption is a safety for the things. Yes, we all are use the encryption to ensure the things nobody able to access this one. But that itself becomes an issue either in case of internal ransomware or somebody in outside will able to put something else and asking for a ransom. So when you give these data protections, while you giving, you can work out a strategy, write wants kind of things to data protection, so that the lot of technologies nowadays available where customer can able to create the one of the more important thing is the data, second thing is an applications. So these are the protections and giving a trust,
Yes.
and that will increase the customer to more adoption into the cloud models. That's why just I wanted to
Yes.
bring it to your notice. The chatbots, people talked about lot chatbots, but I've not seen very successful the case studies on the chatbots, because what happened after a certain time it becomes a loop.
Yeah.
It is not no ending. Either you should tell I cannot move, please exit.
Yeah.
It never tells. You enter and repeatedly comes another screen and go into the loop. Many areas I have seen such kind of things. And after that, some of the things localized. They give it to some local services, and they don't even they interact with any central system or anything to further interactions. So this is also limitations which chatbot is driving. That's why it is not picking up. But more integration in the underlying data and make an user, the context aware and user aware systems, then that will drive the more experience.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. That's such an important point, actually. All the hesitations that exist across sectors, across industries, and technology implementation. Amandeep, as you mentioned, you're just now getting into cloud and really trusting the platform.
One advantage I just wanted to tell you, the
Yes.
cloud, what he is telling things that same 365. I did an implementations 2-3 years before. Huge on-prem implementations, not on the cloud. But it's a huge problems because you don't get resources to get an implementation in on-prem. But when you go to a cloud, you get a huge resources available and you get an up-to-date the latest softwares and with the latest compliance also. That's one advantage you get it from the cloud.
See, largely, if I actually agree to Amandeep, why the SaaS base is very important. One is like hiring resources. We are not a tech company, okay? We are not an IT company to hire a lot of resources or creating our own, army to handle your entire data center. So that is where SaaS based happening is like everyone is, and that is where even we are moving. We said like, let's not get into on-prem kind of a solution to have get more servers, more more resources to handle those servers. Domain, in fact, for that matter, local AD also. Let's move it to the cloud. Let's give it this headache to someone else who can do better than us. So SaaS-based application, then you have that possibilities. Like if you want to change anything, it's just a matter of time. You can just decide and you can change, because that's a that's a benefit that you'll get it on the SaaS-based or cloud-based applications. So largely, I would prefer like SaaS-based rather than doing everything on-prem.
Yeah. No, I think that the point is valid, because what is happening is the point is valid because there are lots of audits also happening these days, right? You have to comply with IRDA. Now we are into life insurance space. IRDA as a regulation is again a big things to manage. Like on a banking side, RBI is one of the, I think, very stringent norms.
Yeah.
Now they are adopting actually MAS regulations from Singapore, because DBS as a firm, I was working with DBS also. That's what we are discussing. So I'm saying, based on the different type of regulations, these models, whatever we are getting from a cloud is already compliant to certain regulations. It's like SOC 2 compliant. All those things, if you are giving to auditor, then all the queries are getting handled in much more efficient manner, rather than you spending more time on doing audit, operational challenges, and business is growing. At the same time, you have to also interact with the business and lots of things, right? So I think on that front, I think SaaS is going to be playing a very vital role. Now, I think doctor has also pointed out very important point. Data security is one of the important area. You don't know where your data is going eventually, whether you are in India or data is actually going outside India. There is no kind of a specific seismic zone which you really rely upon. You actually don't know where. It is just a NDA or agreement you are just signing with a provider, and just basis which you are just ensuring yourself, right? So cloud security is encryption is one of the area which most of the people are getting adopt. And you are ensuring that the encryption is by default enabled on cloud, and also ensuring that the certain security norms are getting adopted and controlled by an enterprise rather than from a cloud provider per se. So I think all those factors are playing a very vital role, and which eventually will be taken care as part of innovations which are happening in any organization, I would say.
Absolutely.
So I think that's what is the point which I want to put across. Yeah.
Thank you. Shubho, do you have anything to add to that? The hesitations, the innovations that we expect to see moving forward?
In fact, in our case, I think it will be true for everybody. You tend to evolve, right? I mean, there is nothing known as a perfect world or nothing known as a perfect situation. You continue to evolve, you continue to learn, and so on and so forth. As we spoke, we were the first digital bank, back in 2016. But over a period of time, what we also realized and understood is how do you cater to the market, right? Indian market when compared to a Singapore or a Hong Kong is completely different, right? Digital brings in that speed, that ease, convenience, and so on and so forth. But at the same point of time, towards the end, the last mile, when you are not able to complete for the customer, are you there for the customer?
Yeah.
And that is when the physical layer comes in, wherein, I mean, say for example, you're buying a product, you're buying a personal loan, for example, and it has 10 steps on the app, and you dropped off at the 7th one. You travel till 6-7 steps, and then you dropped off. Are you able to kind of pick that as a bank? Are you able to pick that data and then go back and connect, saying you have reached till here? Where did you what happened? Can we help you in any this thing? That again brings in that kind of an engagement with the customer, right? Otherwise, customers have ample options, right, in the marketplace. Something, I mean, it is ultimately an app. It is technology, right? I mean, things may fail. At that point in time, are you there, right? And how are you able to smartly bring in? I mean, all of us are well aware about the phygital as a new terminology, right? Where you are able to complement each other, the digital layer as well as when you bring in the physical layer, and you're able to stay relevant for the customer, right? Once you do that as part of the entire customer life cycle, right? I mean, in case of banking, obviously you look at products, you look at services, what all channels do you use to kind of engage with the customer. It could be a physical, the RM layer, it could be a bank, it could be a contact center, social media, right? Digital, social media is huge, right? Gone are the days when, I mean, you just post in a comment on the social media and it just goes viral. And how do you manage all of that? How do you manage customer grievances? That is a huge source of truth for you, right? Presidential escalations, plus all the usage on the app. How are you intelligently, kind of picking that up and putting all of this together and then going back to the customer? So when you look at the entire customer life cycle, again, what does the customer really want? Even before creating a product, right? Customers know, for example, a credit card, right? You want to come up with a credit card, a new variant, and so on and so forth. Customers know, customers have been using it. What is the purpose? Why are they using the credit card? If you're able to get into that and get the customer to co-partner with you, that works brilliantly well. So you're able to get the insights from the market, from the customer. You're putting that together. You're coming up with a compelling proposition for the customer, well thought through, rather than just kind of dumping plastics. At the same point in time, you're being purpose driven. You're taking care of the customer requirement.
Yes.
When you bring all of this together, I think ultimately the entire customer life cycle as a bank or a service provider, if you're there, I think then that is a win-win both for the
bank or the organization or whichever this thing it is, and most importantly for the customer.
Thank you. We've had once again so much input. We will come close to wrapping up, but before that happens, I'd really like to invite Jay and Raja at this point to kind of bring all of this together. We started with the topic of how do we enhance the customer experience, of course, reimagining the future using technology and so on. But like Shubh was rightly mentioning, what do you do when the tech fails? How do you bring the human element in as well? So maybe you can give us a little bit of insight into the future, the innovations we can expect to see, and keeping the human element still at the heart of it all.
Absolutely. In fact, I've controlled myself in many such use cases comes out. It was kind of tempting me to react immediately. Awesome discussion so far. In fact, from Dr. Rajendran, we learned something new today before our discussion on IFTOS time, right? So that's great. Specifically, and Manoj doesn't want get his name shouted, right? So, but there is a use case for that. Customers prefer personalization, right? When you get into Starbucks, right? So, hey Jai, we will get your cappuccino in 10 minutes. I feel personalized. So that's one experience, right? And obviously, there is another view, then you are actually bringing it. And that's a use case, how we are actually enabling a technology side of it. That's one of it. The other thing is that an interesting story might be new to most of us from Tata side, right? Assuming that we all have a refrigerator at home, right? And refrigerator being part of your family group on WhatsApp. And refrigerator says that, hey, I'm running out of milk, fill me in. It's an amazing experience, right? So how do we do that on a technology side of it? And Amandeep, right, you mentioned Thomas Cook. And an interesting story for me, like now, we are a customer of Thomas Cook, and whenever we actually book a ticket, every time they'll ask for an insurance data, so your name, date of birth, the nominee and all that. So maybe 6, 7 we have done. The 7th, 8th time also they are asking the same date. So why you're actually asking again and again? So they said sometimes the nominee might get changed.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't have a nominee other than my wife. But so that's how it is. The technology, and it goes back to what Subus actually said. What is that we do with the data, right? What is that we do with the data? It again goes back to your the flight, airline stuff, right? So passenger actually reached the airport and he realized that he already missed the flight. When he calls back the support, it should be like a support that giving an option that, hey, Jay, you are calling me. I suppose you have missed your flight. There are other options. How do we go about it? Okay. Giving the next best option. And it goes to Sweda as well, right? So you mentioned Swiggy. Swiggy, maybe there are situations I used to place order food. Maybe I'll order 5 food. Maybe 1 food is not available. Only they'll realize only after I make an order. They will make a call to me to attend that whether to cancel the full order. I'll release the rest of the order, or if you want to make changes. Helping the agents or the consumers to decide the next best actions, right? NBA. So how do we do that over technology? The other thing is that, again, it's the same data. So I used to book ticket on IRT. I don't need to say in telling the name. I used to book a ticket for an onward journey. When I'm actually booking on the same login, when I'm booking the return, it's asking my name, which is not a good experience for me, right? So we don't appreciate that. The other way is that banking customer, right? Banking customer, it goes to what Sweta said. We call it as a HNI, the high network individual customers. When the customer comes in, and it's a different profile altogether, right? How do we give a better experience to them, right? So they can just give a message to the VR and the virtual relationship manager, so that can get connected. The call will continue on a telephonic call. And when he moves into that, he will actually get into the video call, get authenticated, get the transaction. It's all seamless. How do we do it on a technology way? So that's another experience. And many others. And I have so many things to talk about it. But when it comes to like what Sweta again said, it's about technology, people and process, right? It all has to work together. And we from Tata Com and Genesys, how we actually be the best partner on the technology side. We have so many cases, and my list is big. Yeah, back to you, Raja.
Oh, just adding on to Jay, and Devina asked specifically how do we tie up the human element with all the automations getting in place, right? So that's the beauty of the CX solutions nowadays we are working on. Genesys is also one of them. So it's like you enable automation from all the channels, right? You you provide more and more channels, digital channels, email, voice, chat, and everything, what we call as typical omni-channel strategy, right? And that's how we bring it up. And then depending upon the business workflows, right, whatever you want to pull in, depending upon nature of business, nature of process, we kind of look at optimizing or doing every transaction onto those digital channels to the utmost possible extent, right? And then we see there could be always a human element that would be required, right? Then we see in one fine workflow, we might have to route that call either to a live chat agent or a live voice agent. It could be live video agent as well, depending upon what is available. And then when all these channels are connected together, the agent, who is actually human, when he gets into a call, he will have a complete view on what has happened for that particular customer across channels and across that particular transaction when he came repeatedly to that contact center. So that's what technology is being all about right now, and that's how it's being implemented, right?
Thank you.
Got it. Okay, fine. The spot is on me. Okay. I think amazing insights. I mean, really, this is one of the very thoughtful and kind of bringing the thought leadership. Thank you very much. Really appreciate. Let me kind of try to kind of maybe summarize and then answer some of the stuff that has been spoken about. Right. First of all, let me start with defining experience. By the way, I think somebody told me I would have been a professor in the past life. Actually, I keep doing this. Actually, anyway, experience to me is when you feel empathetic. Forget about contact center, forget about our businesses, by the way, right? Some of the memorable experiences that you would recall ever is where you have been felt empathetic in the whole thing, whether it could be your colleague, your wife, your family, whoever, friends, right? So that's what it is. So that's the whole thing that we say, kind of, how do we deliver that empathy in a customer B2B or a B2C world is what we kind of, started our thought process with, right? So because the moment you made kind of like to feel empathetic, that's when you develop a trust towards the other person or the organization or whatever it is, and that trust leads to loyalty, by the way. So that's what it is. Now, how do we do that? I think it's easy, right? Between me and Subbu or Shweta, I think we are all fine. We kind of we trust each other now, we have a face-to-face. But imagine the million calls hitting your organizations or million interactions, not just calls, right? It could be walk-ins, it could be calls, it could be anything, right? So how do we do that, right? So maybe double click on that and then say, can we define that as well in terms of how do you create empathy, right? Maybe, I think to do that, I think maybe what we call it as a PPT, right? People hate PPTs, by the way, but this is like a acronym for people, process, and technology, by the way. I don't think technology alone can solve this problem, by the way, right? Frankly, everybody thought technology is the transformation. It is not, absolutely not. And like what you said in terms of OTC, order to contact, how do you reduce? And that's a process-driven thing. Let me give you an example, right? I was in Prague a couple of years back, and I left something in the cab, by the way, right? If you look at Uber app, there is nothing called contact us. Nowhere you will find contact us, right? Then I said I was getting panicky because lost my wallet in foreign land. Everything is there. I don't know. I don't know what to do, right? I just went through the Uber app, and then it says something called I left something behind in the cab. I just clicked on that, and it took a minute for me to get a call. I realized that there's a call from Uber because there's a local number, and just a message played out, hold, and then they made another call to the driver, and the driver came in. The only problem is, I don't speak the local language. I gave it to the lady standing next to me. I told her the situation, and she explained it to the driver, and within 5 minutes, the driver came back, gave it to me. Look, that's a panic situation, right? You don't know what to do, right? The driver told me he traveled 5 miles to do this, and I gave him some 50 euros, and then he refused to take it. He said, fine, that's okay. That's what it is. So if you look at it, that's the PPT element of it, right? It started with the process. They've envisaged a situation like this, and they've put in something of the sort, where even in a panic situation, it was easy for me to kind of find out there is a process available for me to get this address, by the way, right? Then they built a technology behind the process in terms of the moment I click, it knows what to do. It calls me, it calls the driver, patches them up without a human interaction, everything working flawlessly, right? And finally, without the driver kind of coming and giving it to me and then not accepting the gratitude that I want to kind of, do to him is an experience with me. I mean, that without these three coming together, I don't think an experience can be delivered and an empathy could be delivered, right? I mean, of course. Yeah, like you said, I mean, we don't have control on the people and process side of it, of course. I mean, all of you do, but I mean, if I double click now on technology in terms of how do we kind of take care of the technology, right? I mean, the technology part of it. There are only, look at it, there are only 4 things which can happen, right? I mean, if you address these 4 things, I think you have the right technology, by the way, right? First of all, talking about where have you been as a customer, right? I mean, if you know that, whether it's like in the branch or kind of your app or your website or you're in the social media, you're in anything, right? I mean, if you have a mechanism to tap in terms of where they have been, and then the next step is in terms of what they want. I mean, either they're calling to buy something or they're calling to have a service request, they want to complain something, or they want to make amends to whatever they bought, they want to return something. I think these are a few stuffs that they're calling you for. So the moment you know where they have been and then what they want, now, and how they want to do it. I mean, the third point is how they want to do it. I'm going to give you an example. My dad, I mean, he doesn't believe in anything, right? He walks into a branch, and he was one person who convinced ICICI Bank to give him a passbook when ICICI went away with passbooks almost like 10 years back. He would still have a book, and then he'll give it to them and then make them write. I mean, handwritten passbook. I was so shocked. I think maybe it's a small town. People had all the time in the world to do that. If I walk into a branch in ICICI and ask them to give me a handwritten passbook, they would have thrown me away. We have multiple set of, you have millennials, people believe in that. My dad doesn't believe unless and until he gets it, and he still used to fill in the pain slips actually to kind of do all of that, right? And then you talk to my sister and she wants to talk to somebody either way. I mean, she doesn't want to go there, but she wants to talk to somebody. She otherwise doesn't believe, right? Or my son, he thinks Alexa is the only human being in the world actually. He doesn't believe anything other than Alexa, by the way, right? You have them. So give them the choice of house, right? Give them the moment you say where you have been, what you want, and how kind of the option. Finally, leave it to their terms. I really like the way. The contrasting views that Shweta and Manoj put together in saying that for Shweta, luxury is all about experience. They don't want to bring in any technology element in between. Dial, pick up, or kind of have a relationship manager and all that stuff to a point where on the BK app, Manoj was saying that I want to give the bot option, right? To me, adding an agent is selling 5 more burgers in each of those things, right? So it's like in their terms, right? You don't have to define by saying that contact us in my website means you can only contact us through that phone, right? So if you take care of this where, what, how, and in their terms, I think you have a winning proposition, by the way, right? Now, you said the technology, take care of this 4. Now, we saw in terms of how do you define empathy, and 3 elements of empathy in terms of then I'm focused on technology alone, this is what you do. Now coming to the technology, I think it's the most abused thing, right? Like Dr. Rajendran said, in terms of data, right? Data is the new oil. I think, but unfortunately, like you said, Subbu, I think only 17% of the structured data is being used by any organization, by the way. It's a pity, right? It's not about not having enough data, it's about having more data than what you can actually process, by the way, right? So either you can overwhelm customers with the data or be relevant with the data, by the way, to the customers, right? Most of the times we choose path 1, right? Because I have a data, it goes into my lead management system and keep pumping calls. And then they know that if the call comes from the same number, they're not going to pick up. So they found a mechanism of rotating CLI and all that stuff. Every time, and then they said, okay, landline, nobody is picking up. Let me get to a mobile IQ and all that stuff. Let me do this. We are abusing the stuff, frankly speaking, right? On the other hand, how do I take that data and be relevant? This is something that we did for one of our customers, right? In terms of like the where part of it, I know the customer, I know who you are. And you went to my app or you went to my website, you've been doing all of that. I kind of know in terms of, okay, today Dr. Rajendran went to my website and looking at the mortgage loan and all that stuff, and this is what he is looking at. Maybe I know something relevant to this, right? So the next day when the relationship manager or the branch guy, when he opens up his application, it says that, okay, fine, Dr. Rajendran is looking for mortgage and all this stuff. When that point in time when I call you for that particular thing, I am being more relevant and I am capturing your interest, by the way, right? And then we have seen in a overwhelmed situation, the success rate is anything like if somebody hits 1 to 2%, I think that's a thing, right? Whereas in a what we call it as a virtual relationship manager based engagement and all this stuff, where we have seen in excess of 30 to 40% success rate, by the way, right? So it's not only kind of, you're trying to save costs, but also being relevant to the customer, right? I mean, so that's what it is. Now, that data, if you take it, then obviously comes the security point that you raised in terms of how do you do it. And that is where, we don't store any customer data at all on our platform, by the way, right? I mean, Genesys Cloud, we, in spite of the fact that we comply to anything and everything, like whether it is GDPR, whether it is HIPAA, to your point in terms of PCI compliance, in terms of payments and all this stuff, we do comply, but we are very clear saying that we don't want data from you. So I'm okay. I can ping into your data on-premise, or I can ping into your E365 on an Azure network. I'm absolutely fine, right? I mean, for me, fetching the data in a hyper-connected world is not a problem, right? I mean, so we don't do that. The only thing that I store on my cloud is basically the customer recording. Obviously, that's a choice, whether you want to do it on your premise or you want to do it on cloud. So I do that, and that also I give you an option, right? You can download it during the off-peak period and then keep it with you, and I'll delete that actually, right? So that is very, very important, right? I mean, a situation like AIMS, I mean, it's a scary situation, right? I mean, we saw that. I mean, so there are pros and cons in terms of you want to do it on-prem or you want to do it on a third-party provider, private cloud, or a public cloud of ours, right? So the choice is there, obviously. So that's what it is, right? I mean, so that's all. So, I mean, getting this all together, I think it's not one thing we can get it right. It's multiple things. I think we need to look at it. Finally, in terms of why do we have to do it? Like Devina started off with, we are living in an experience economy. I think if you look at the way economies were driven in the past few centuries, it was always an agricultural based economy, right? I mean, whichever country produced most agricultural produce used to be the superpower. Then it becomes more of an industrial economy, right? I mean, that's when China's of the world, they mastered in that, and then suddenly they kind of grew like crazy. Then it became a knowledge-based economy in the late 20th century, where I think we saw a lot of that happening in India, being a knowledge hub and all that stuff. I think the future we feel is going to be an experience economy. I think, that if you don't deliver experience, I don't think you're differentiating yourself. So it's a must, absolutely must. It's a non-negotiable stuff, by the way, right? And when I say experience, I think it's not just about customer experience. Yes, customer experience is one part. You can't manage customer experience without addressing EX or employee experience. And that experience has to be not just for your employees or customers, but also to the whole ecosystem that we spoke about, right? In terms of your partners, your vendors, your suppliers, your colleagues, your distribution mechanism, your D2C, and the whole ecosystem, right? I mean, so that's what it is. So hopefully, I think, we're trying to capture all of that and then trying to kind of give this in the last 5 minutes. Hopefully, even if I addressed it. Thank you very much. Back to you, Devina.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Raja. And well, the conversation doesn't really end here. Let's continue this over dinner networking, which we'll step out and do right away. A small request to all our guests. We have a small feedback form, which should be at the bottom of your pack. If you could just spend a minute or two going through that. And whilst that happens, we will just get arrangements in place. We have a small token of appreciation for everyone here. So can we...